I'm Algenon Cash, and you're locked in live. This is an exciting day for me. Not only is this the first time that I'm doing my monthly roundtable, so this is something I'm going to start doing once a month. We're going to have a roundtable discussion where I invite good friends of mine to come talk about what they do day to day, with the hope that maybe you can learn a little bit from some close friends of mine. I'm always learning from my various friends when I get a chance to talk to them. And so I want to try to bring that learning to you, or that opportunity to you. But not only that, I've got really two great friends. They've never actually met, so they're actually meeting for the first time at this roundtable discussion. But they're two of my best friends. I talk to both of them all the time. They got a lot in common. They don't even know it yet, but they've got a tremendous amount in common. And I think after this conversation, they're going to be friends. And so that's what's so cool about what we're doing with this locked in live talk that we'll be doing once a month. But before we get into the conversation, as always, in order for me to produce these conversations, in order for me to bring you quality and factual content, it requires time, talent, and treasure. Now, I'm putting in a lot of time and putting in a lot of talent, but I'm going to ask you all to put in some treasure. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can support the Locked In program by becoming a supporter or a sponsor, or you can support the program by becoming an actual member. And there's two different ways that you can be able to do that. If interested, which I hope you are, certainly leave a comment in the chat section. Leave it in the chat section. I'll catch it. If you're watching it live on Facebook, I'll be watching the comment section as we go through the dialogue today. If you're watching the recast on YouTube, you can certainly leave a comment and let me know if you're interested in being a sponsor or an official Locked In member. So for as little as $5 a month, you can support what we're doing with the Locked In program. Now, there's something you can do that doesn't even cost any money. You can like. Yeah, there's a little button down there that you can click like. The great thing about Facebook and YouTube and all these various platforms, the more you click like, the more other people are actually going to see what we're talking about. And if you really enjoy the dialogue and the conversation, then you can always share it and make sure a friend that was not here knows more about it. So with that said, I'm going to kick into the conversation. I've been so excited about getting these two guys together. Derrick Minor, BJ Murphy, you guys are locked in. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
This is exciting because I talk to you guys on the regular, and known Derrick a little bit longer. BJ, you and I met maybe, I guess, back in 2015 or something like that. But I've always wanted to get y'all together because it's interesting when I have conversations with y'all. A lot of times your advice is very similar. I think the way y'all think is very similar. And so this conversation has been long overdue. So I don't care if the audience, I know the audience is going to get something out of it, but I don't care if they do or not. I'm getting something out of this one today. This is a special one. This is special for me. This is the inaugural Locked In Live talk. So I'm very excited about this. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to give just a quick snapshot on both you guys. But the way we're going to kick it off is you guys, you all already started this offline. BJ, I knew he'd kick right into it. But I just want you to tell a little bit of backdrop about what you guys do today, day to day, how you got there. We'll spend a few minutes on that. And then, as always, I'm sure I'll have some questions, and then we'll keep an eye on the chat section to see if people are chiming in. I'm going to start with BJ. BJ is the CEO of Magic Mile Media. He is a growing, what I call digital media magnet right here in North Carolina. He recently purchased the North Carolina Political News Network. He also, through his Magic Mile Media Group, he controls the News, which is a hyper-local digital news platform based out of Kinston, North Carolina. And I can't even, I'm not even going to break news. I know about some other things that are going on, but I'm not going to break news today. BJ's got some other big announcements that he's going to be making here soon. BJ, go ahead and tell the folks, man, a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, Derrick and I were immediate friends just by the very nature of you being our friend. So it's good to be in your company and in his. So thanks again for having me. But basically, my story is very simple. Born and raised right here in Eastern North Carolina. Didn't know what I wanted to do for school. Went to community college for a year. Went to East Carolina. Got a business degree. Still didn't know what I was going to do. Somehow it wound up running my future mother-in-law's restaurant down to being recruited to manage downtown Kinston, then got into business sales, Decided one day on a whim that I would run for mayor at 25. With my community had 20-some thousand people in it. At 25, running against a 3-term former mayor. Of course, I lost that race, but not by much. So it really kind of showed me that people were interested in learning a little bit more about how a young person could be involved in leadership. I stayed in business sales, ran for mayor at 29, won, became the youngest mayor in our community's history. And that really kind of started a lot of cool things that happened in my life. I ended up after Hurricane Matthew deciding to start basically a social media digital agency, for lack of better terms on that. And so we started off with just managing social media for clients, basically at a third or fourth of what it would cost them to hire a full-time employee. But we were able to do that through an economies of scale by having multiple clients. That turned into I lost an election, so I served 2 terms, and I had an opportunity to look at how we could apply the social media philosophies I'd learned with managing my media into the local news business, so that we could provide free news with none of those annoying pop-up ads and none of that AP subscription news service. You can find that what Obama or Biden or Trump or Clinton were going to do from tens of thousands of sources, but you really couldn't tell what was happening in your backyard without some local news outlet doing that for you. So we do that, grew from 0 to now 5,000 daily subscribers right here in Kinston, and recently bought another one. But we're just having a lot of fun. Got a lot of great things I could probably share, but that's a little bit about me, and I love it, and it's good being your friend, sir.
And my next friend that's also locked in with us today is Derrick Minor. You all have heard me talk a lot about Wharton Gladden, which is something I'm extremely proud of, really how I cut my teeth in business, but totally would have been impossible without Derrick Minor. Derrick partnered with me. I guess that's going back to somewhere around 2005, 2006. We really built the presence and the practice together. Eventually went separate ways, but have maintained a very close relationship. Super proud of all the stuff that he's been doing in Raleigh. Derrick, let the folks know a little bit about you, man.
Sure. Thanks, Algenon. Derrick Minor. I am originally from Palm Beach County, Florida, born and raised down there, but have been in Raleigh now, which I call home, for about 16 years. So 2004 is when I moved up here. Algenon was one of the first people that I actually met, other than family. And we just immediately became friends and then partners and worked together for almost 5 years. And then in 2010, I started working with the city of Raleigh in the economic development space, specifically around entrepreneurship and high growth companies. Spent about 8 years working with and for them, focused on those high growth companies in Raleigh, as well as the Triangle, and then was tapped to join a startup locally here in Raleigh called K4 Connect. Was brought on to lead their recruiting and HR operations for about 2 years. And then most recently have joined Vaco. I actually had hired Vaco as one of our recruiting vendors when I was at K4. And when I started to dig into the model and kind of, just the service and quality they provide, when I left K4, I decided to join them, and it's been a fantastic experience. So we're a global company, really boutique run at the local level, 800 million in revenue, 1,000 employees and 7,000 consultants. And our biggest thing is just partnering with companies to help them to scale. So definitely looking forward to this conversation and future ones as well.
This is awesome. Again, now y'all see, I always talk about relationships, right? I always say powerful relationships drive powerful outcomes. I always try to surround myself with smart people that know a little bit more than me, or at least know something different than me. And so as you're listening today, one of the things that I want you to learn from this conversation and what we're doing with this sort of roundtable conversation is that you've got to have powerful friends and relationships and people that are hustling and doing a great thing. And a lot of times you sort of become almost who you hang around. Right. And if you're not hanging around people that are doing positive things and trying to do big things, then you most likely won't be doing it either. So again, I'm so thankful to be close friends with both of you guys. Both of you all are entrepreneurial. but in different ways. You know, BJ, you're sort of the hometown hero. Always sort of wanted to be an entrepreneur in Kinston. I think now this year you've started to maybe think more about scaling and looking outside of your region. But you've always sort of been the hometown hero, but you want to be an entrepreneur. What I've known about Derrick is that he's always been very entrepreneurial, but he sort of want to takes over the world kind of thing. So he's thinking here and that kind of thing. What I love about both of you is that entrepreneurship can work in both ways, right? Like, I mean, you can either try to do something where you're scaling globally, or you can try to do something where you're just trying to make a big difference in your own hometown. BJ, what happened when did the entrepreneurial bug bite you, man? When did you realize that you wanted to own your own thing and pave your own way?
Well, actually, I could tell you, and a lot of people don't know this. When I was the downtown revitalization manager for my community, my board chairman came to me at my 1 year anniversary, my evaluation, and said, "Hey, look, I think I was 24 at the time. They had never had somebody my age run that organization, which we were a quasi-government agency. We had a 30,000 square foot small business incubator. I was in charge of like 30 square blocks of downtown, all the events and everything, and dealing with the politicians and stuff. But he came to me and said, "Hey, look, whenever you want to move on from this job, let me know. We'll take care of you." And I kind of went, no, that's not how I see things happening in my life, me owing somebody for my career. And it was my immediate response to something that he was genuinely being a giving about. He thought he was helping me, but what it really was like to me was, I'm not going to owe my career to somebody else, some other person in their network. And so it began a journey for me of trying to figure out what it is I really wanted to do. And it took me until I was really about 36 to kind of figure that out.
What about you, D? I mean, when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, man?
I'd say it was probably about 2 years before I had met you and moved up to Florida, or moved out from Florida. I had corporate roles that just never really satisfied. I always loved the ability to solve problems and to solve them that can make an immediate impact on a company. So I kind of, right when I got bitten by that bug and decided to move up to North Carolina is really where it kind of accelerated. So I'd say mid-20s is when I really started to kind of take that leap. And the thing I love about entrepreneurship is that it in many ways is so much more of a mindset and how you go about solving problems and looking for those opportunities. That is the most important thing. So when I was at K4 Connect, our biggest thing was hiring entrepreneurial employees. We were at that stage where we didn't necessarily need someone to come in and just do. We had certain functions of the business that hadn't been built out or hadn't even been invented yet, if you will. So we needed people to come in with an entrepreneurial mindset, but still in a corporate structure to essentially build out their particular functions. So every interview that I had with new employees was, hey, if you don't like facing 150 problems every day that seemingly have no solution, and that doesn't excite you in some way, this might not be the right stage of company, right? I was putting it out there to say, hey, working for high growth companies super hard, even though you're not the person at the top. You can still have that mindset. And when you kind of offer it for them to own a particular function, they take it upon themselves almost to build out, their own little niche. And then, hey, a few years down the road, if you decide that, you want to step up in your career and we don't have an opportunity or a position for you, by all means, we'll make introductions to other companies where maybe it could be a good fit. And they've had this entrepreneurial skill set the entire time. It wasn't just them coming in and kind of doing the administrative side, but really thinking outside the box of how do you build out, how would you build out this function if this was your company, and giving them that ownership. So that's, I love kind of that mindset of it. And, you were really the the first one to kind of teach me and really kind of dig in, on that. I know we read quite a few books in the
A
day.
lot of books. I don't know if we were running a company or running a book club. we probably talked more about the books we were reading. Yeah. we were still learning as we were going. I see some people have joined us. If you're just now joining us, this is the first ever Locked In Live talk. This is something I'm going to be doing monthly. Today, you're hearing from BJ Murphy, CEO of Magic Mount Media, as well as Derrick Minor, Associate Director with Vaco, based out of Raleigh. If you have any questions, comments, or anything that these guys can tackle for you, certainly leave your comment in the chat section. We would love to provide you some insight. BJ, I was listening to you talk. I forgot that you used to do downtown revitalization. I do recall that when we were going through EA Morris, you talked about it. I know Derrick used to do some of the same over in Raleigh, so you guys share that commonality. So you both work with other small businesses, right? Like, I mean, when you're in the downtown role, I know Derrick, when you were with us over at Wharton Gladden, you were consulting a lot of small businesses. Outside of the media properties, BJ, that you own, you're consulting small businesses all the time through your Magic Mile Media Group. BJ, talk a little bit about, man, what are some of the challenges you're seeing out there with small businesses? I mean, what are some of the obstacles that are preventing them from growing right now?
Well, if there's a one big obstacle, it really is. I would honestly piggyback off. I heard something Derrick say a while ago, is having a growth mindset. If you got real complacent a year or two ago, then the challenges of COVID-19 and the emergency declarations and how that impacted business would have had a much more drastic impact on you. The entrepreneurs were faced with almost insurmountable odds last year, especially particular industries, for example, like restaurants and bars and stuff like that. So trying to adapt and find ways to work around that is part of the entrepreneurial spirit. But I mean, let's just be honest, and you've talked about this a lot. The restaurant industry got hurt terribly, and thousands have closed just across our state. So I mean, that's one thing is trying to adapt to the environment. And this past year has been very difficult. I was happy, even though you're always looking at how much did your business grow this past year. Mine last year didn't grow. I mean, it was pretty much the same, but I lost some clients and I gained some clients. And so by the end of the year, I was like, well, hey, we probably survived one of the worst years in my third or fourth year in business. On top of that, in business that maybe I'll probably see in my next decade or two of my life, and hopefully. So just that idea that we were able to adapt in our own way, and like trying to figure out how to scale our model to maybe instead of managing a social media client, maybe we figure out how to get into to do more video production, or maybe if we are offering websites now, how do we figure that out? And so we started dabbling that towards the end of the year. So we tried to adapt within our own skill set. And that is one thing I always tell entrepreneurs and people I love: go all in on your strengths, and you'll live a much more happier life. You'll be more productive, whether you're an employee or the boss. Do what makes you happy. And for me, that's business, computers, and politics. And wouldn't you know, every single day, I'm heavily involved in social media. I'm getting press releases from the governor. It's nothing for me to talk to state senators or state or local representatives or congressmen. And I'm dealing with computers and technology and business all day long. And so I do what I love every day, so it doesn't really feel like work. There are tasks, there are things I have to get done, and I feel like I'm never caught up, but I love it so much that it doesn't feel like work.
No, I love that. I think that if you do what you love, you'll never go to work a day in your life. I think, Derrick, you probably can recall back in the day, man, I was already getting sort of bit by the political bug a little bit back in the day. I didn't know as much about it back then as I do now. So it is a lot of fun to be doing things in business and politics, which is something that I'm very passionate about. Derrick, when we were building Wharton Gladden, when we were working with small businesses back then, we also were going through the Great Recession. We never seen an economic catastrophe like we saw for probably the last 80 years. Now we're going through a once in a 100-year public health pandemic. You've seen a lot, man, in the last 10 or 15 years or so. I mean, what kind of challenges do you see out there with small business owners?
Yeah. So, two different challenges. Some obviously are they've hit a plateau. They're unable to grow for one reason or another. A lot of that can be traced back to either challenges with their talent, whether it's retaining their team or hiring the best people, or it's their technology. Maybe the technology had been put together at a time that was a much earlier stage in the company's life, but they never really thought about, hey, how do I actually scale this technology, or does it have the ability to scale, just kind of based on that piece of it. So that's definitely one set of problems. But as BJ was talking, I thought about another one that is actually somewhat surprising, is companies that have grown too quickly from the results of COVID. Companies that had a lot more exposure, online training companies and others that picked up substantial business and continue to grow. They just weren't ready for it. Right. So, if you're a 10 or 11 person company and you grow to the point where you need to hire, 3 to 4 people to come on. I mean, 3 to 4 people doesn't sound like a lot, but, that's a substantial increase from a percentage perspective for that company. And it definitely changes the dynamic. And if they have to do so quickly, I've actually been working with a few companies that, their challenge was they had to hire quickly. They did hire quickly, but they hired wrong. So they had turnover within the first kind of 90 days, which really put them behind and at risk of losing the clients that they had just gained, through the pandemic, because they didn't have the ability to execute on the projects that they had promised because of just the dynamic or the loss of critical team members. So, there's a fine balance that needs to happen. If you're a company that is 30 people and you're looking to basically add another 30 this year because you've just taken on a new round of funding or some additional financing. I mean, to double the size of your company, without knowing if the org chart or the existing team can handle that growth can be even more detrimental than it could be without hiring those 30 people. So it's just such a fine balancing act. And unfortunately, the areas that are the most overlooked and kind of under-resourced and undervalued are typically HR and recruiting, right? They're viewed as cost centers, which they are, but they touch every function within the company. They touch every employee within the company. So if you're trying to build or sell, Star Wars type technology or products, but you're using the equivalent of dot matrix printers on the inside for your employees, you're just doing it the wrong way, because we're expecting these people to pour their hearts into the business, and if they're not treated as such, it could cause some substantial challenges either now or even down the road.
As you talk about the HR component and how you engage and interact with your employees, it makes me think about BJ, because I follow BJ online. I'm on his Instagram. He posts a lot. I'm on Facebook. I'm probably one of his biggest fans or followers if he did the insight thing or whatever. But sometimes I wonder, BJ, how much work do y'all do? Because because it seems like y'all have a lot of fun and you're on TikTok and you and Aletha and your whole crew over there. How important is it to have that fun at work, and but at the same time, how do you also help your clients know that we're actually getting work done too? We're not just having fun.
It is the double-edged sword. So basically what Algeon's referring to is, we do some TikToks and things, but I made a concerted effort about a year and a half ago to put out a vlog. And so you see the gentleman behind me over my shoulder, that's Danny. He's actually working on episode 61 of that vlog. So we're putting out 1, 2, maybe sometimes even 3 vlogs a week. We're just kind of talking about the story of what happens in the office. So what Algeon's referring to is this 3 or 4 minute video we put out once, twice, or 3 times a week, but it showcases some of the fun we have, plus us working with clients. And so what I even have to tell Algenon all the time is like, we cut up and we have a lot of fun, but you're only getting snippets of our day in these videos. So the reality is, if people press me about it, if they only knew that we publish about 350 stories a month, and then you multiply that times 3 plus our clients, we probably responsible for about 1,200 pieces of content a month with my small little team. And so the vlog is really to kind of capture that environment, that culture, because my plan, by the time I finish with Magimon Media, Amazon and Google are going to be fighting to who's going to buy us out. And I mean, so I need to scale and grow. So part of it is from a historical documentation that I really want to look back and go, well, we were not an overnight success story. This journey happened and we captured it on film. But at the same time, I want to be able to attract people to come work here, whether intern or a full-time employee, whether they're in video or they're graphic design or they have an idea of what happens in social, whatever the component will be as we grow, I want them to see what's happening. So yeah, we have fun, but we work hard too.
You get the work done. Now, when Derrick and I was building Wharton Gladden, Facebook and hell, Instagram didn't even exist, but Facebook wasn't really, big and prevalent beyond the college campuses. And thank God, because we probably had a little too much fun. But I do think it's important that you do have that lightheartedness and that ability to connect and engage with the people that are around you, because you do spend so much of your day at work or within your business. And certainly you do want to have a good time while doing it. I know one of the things that I really enjoy, sometimes I complain about it. I'll admit, my phone rings like crazy. My inbox goes crazy. My emails, I mean, it feels like some days everybody in the world is trying to contact me at one time. And I'll find myself complaining at times about it. But the reality is that I really enjoy it. And I get so excited about being able to help people sort of realize their goals. And the reason I get excited about it is that mentorship has always been really critical for me. I don't, anything that I'm doing right now, I don't think I would be doing if I wouldn't have met like really, really great mentors. And I even consider you all, I consider you all my friends, but I also consider you a part of that mentor group where when I'm trying to work on something or get something done, I can call or reach out to either one of you guys. And you're going to give me your honest reaction. If you like it, you're going to say you like it. If you think I'm crazy, you're going to say, hey, I don't think that's going to work. I know BJ gets on to me all the time about he's got like a list of things that I think he's trying to get me to do. And when he gets one done, he crosses it off, he moves on to the next one. But he's always got something he wants me to work on or direction he's trying to pull me in. And but I love that. I love that relationship we have. I love that relationship that I have with my other mentors. Talk a little bit about Derrick. Talk a little bit about mentorship, man. How influential and important has that been in your pathway?
It's a great question. I haven't had the mentorship that I would have liked to have had. Whether it's growing up or even, in some cases in the business world, I have come into situations where, leadership is left and, I'm there essentially by myself to do what needs to be done. So I've always been almost put into positions where I didn't have any mentorship or direction and I just had to dig in and like figure it out. But because of my previous lack of mentorship, that's something that I'm looking to kind of, pay forward now. I had a very colorful, life of hard knocks, and there's a genuine, desire to basically reach out and help others that are that are in the same vein, and I have those connections. And access is one of the biggest things, that prevents, I think especially younger entrepreneurs from being able to obtain kind of the levels that they want. Just because having, access to mentors that have been there, done that, to other colleagues, peers that can be there in the trenches with you when things get tough. If you don't have anyone around you that's kind of, helping you to see at least some light, especially as an entrepreneur, to get through those dark times, man, it is a hard place to, it's a hard place to be. So knowing, that personally, I would, I'm trying my best to ensure that others don't have to go through at least the same level of it. And if I'm not the right mentor, how can I connect them to a network and a community that can actually help them? Because, not everybody can, one person can only have so many relationships that are truly effective. But, there's so many great people that want to help. They just don't know, where to connect in, and kind of vice versa. So it's so important, and, a big part that I would like to see build out, not only, across the triangle, which is where I'm at, but across the state, to just to give an upper hand to the folks that need it the most as well.
EJ, what about for you, man? How important and critical has mentorship been for you with the pathway you've been on? I mean, you went from politics to business and everything you're doing now.
So mentors to me have been some like business colleagues. Honestly, you have put in that boat. Brandon Potter, who's my business partner, who's actually here in the room working. I mean, I've had some people who've had an impact and given me good guidance along the way, but the thing I think I've enjoyed the most has been the opposite, and that is the mentoring. So, one thing that I loved about being mayor was speaking to like an Eagle Scout Court of Honors, where a young man becomes an Eagle, or going to the classrooms, whether it's an elementary or high school, middle school, even college. I spoke on 2 or 3 college campuses. So one way I've applied that here is, the very first thing we did that the first summer after we got started was to start an internship program. And we actually had 5 interns. I wouldn't recommend that for a business with only like 3 employees, but we did it. And we gave them projects, and we learned a lot about these kids. They learned a lot about us. One of them still works with us. One of them works with my business partner. One of them is going to start working for us part-time next week. And it's been really neat to watch that. I love sharing this journey with these young people, because I know that they may be the talent to help further our business. They may be the person that buys us out. They may make a contribution. We help them here, and they go on to do bigger and better things elsewhere. So I get a great sense of fulfillment and pouring into these young people and stretching their comfort zones just a little bit.
Yeah, you got to stretch your comfort zone. In fact, I was telling someone yesterday, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's so important. I still see some people are tuned in. If you have any questions for BJ Murphy, CEO of Magic Mile Media, Derrick Minor, Associate Director with Vaco, you can leave your comment or your question in the chat section. I'm monitoring the chat section, and we'll certainly work in your question if you have one. I'm about to the point where I'm ready to wrap up. I do have one other point I wanted to try to make, or one other question I'd like to ask. Yesterday I was hosting a breakfast for the North Carolina Black Empowerment Network, and I was delivering the opening comments. And part of what they asked me to do was talk a little bit about what I do day to day. I don't know about you all, but whenever someone asks me, they say, what do you do day to day? I almost cringe because I don't really know how to answer it. And I don't want people to think I'm just unemployed. I don't have anything going on day to day, because I've got a lot going on day to day. But sometimes it's a little difficult to describe, and I'm really someone now that believes that, I have these various businesses and projects and activities going on, but I'm really just a dealer in relationships. I try to be that conduit, or that person that connects other people to other people, and hopefully they get something done. And there's some times where I might make a little bit of money out of that. There's a lot of times when I don't. I just hand over the relationship and move on, and trust the fact that I think God will provide and take care of me and do the things that are necessary for me to keep doing those things. My question is, and this is something I've struggled with. This is really for me personally, because it's something I've struggled with for a long time. How important is it? And I'll start with you on this one, Derrick. How important is it to be able to define what it is you do day to day? I mean, is that really critically important, or what I struggle with is that normal?
I would say I don't know if it's normal for everyone else, but it certainly is normal for me. So you're definitely in good company. I'm the same way. I am. There's so much that I do, and it could be like today. I happen to be in the office. Some days I'm working from the house. I'm out at meetings. There's so many different types of projects that we're working on, and all the different steps and things. I just try to have maybe a frame around my day. I tried scheduling every task and everything that I could on my calendar, but that just didn't work. For me, I try to stay routine at the house, and as long as I have somewhat of a good start to the day, and then a frame around the rest of it, I'm super productive. So I try to exercise every morning. I try to get up at the same time regularly, have a little quiet time, just kind of, be able to spend some time with the kids. And usually when I still maintain that schedule, things go great. It's when I start to get off of that schedule a little bit, regardless of what's happening in the work situation. Things can, go a little sideways, maybe because my mind is not as clear because I got off task or topic early on. So that's for me. I like the flexibility and be able to kind of do a whole number of different things. That's exciting, and but at the same time, the way that my brain works, I can't be too structured, otherwise it's going to be a challenge for me. But I'm glad to partner and work with people that are that have those good sides that I maybe lack. And that's what just having a good team to help keep us both straight is a good thing. So that's mainly from my side.
No, I totally agree. You've got to have that relationship on the team that is able to focus, because someone's actually got to get everything done. DJ, what about for you, man? How important is it, or for small business owners, for yourself, how important is it for you to have that just single definition of what you do, or is that flexibility and variability, is that normal?
I tell you, I live off that variability and flexibility, but that has a lot to do with my personality and the nature of the type of business we're in. I mean, I'm doing both social media and news business. So we try to be proactive in marketing and messages and things like that. But we're also reacting to the what happens during the day all the time. The governor issues a new executive order. Well, how does that impact everything else we do? And so we're trying to report on that. So because I get to wear those hats, which I love, so when I tell people what I do for a living, I'm in social media, marketing management, and local news, and along the way, I'm going to help scale by helping other entrepreneurs across not just the state but the country with their own digital platform, so to speak, and whether it's news or whatnot, publications. So that's what I'm doing. I do it every day. I have a lot of fun, but there's part of the reason why we decided just to put that vlog out on my website, honestly, is because like the day, January 6th, we were cutting up in the office. I forgot what was happening. I mean, typical stuff around here. And next thing you know is I get a tweet or something about Capitol riots, and we flip on the TV, and immediately our entire office goes into, okay, we're in the news business. How do we do this? And so we're sending messages out. We find somebody who's from Kinston, who's at the Capitol, who was there as it was unfolding. We get him on Facebook Live within 15 minutes. And I mean, we're in strict news mode. I mean, just like that. But then once that was over, yeah, we debriefed about, I cannot believe this is happening. But our day can change on a whim just like that. So I've calendared my stuff. I've got things I got to get done. I've got a proposal I actually got to get out today. But because I'm managing and juggling so many different things, that's exactly the way I want it to be, because I need that fun. I need the structure, but the ability to be flexible within that structure. And so I've designed my day like that. We've designed an office that is fluid and fun, but proactive, all at the same time, on purpose, because it's what helps fulfill our day.
Gentlemen, I really appreciate y'all locking in with me today. Again, this is the inaugural episode of the Locked In Live Talk, and this is something I'm going to be doing once a month. I'm really excited about it because for me, it really gives my audience and members of the Locked In program just an opportunity to see how I go about learning and engaging with friends of mine, quite frankly. And to some degree, what we've done today would have been what we would have done on the phone if I would have had questions for you guys. We might have cut up a little bit more than what we did today. We're being professional today.
Derrick and I need like a Locked In Live mug with Algenon, a caricature of Algenon on it. I need that mug in my life.
I told you he's always got something he wants me to work on. So that's probably number 4 on his list right now. He's just trying to work through it. But no, anytime DJ speaks, I listen. Anytime Derrick speaks, I listen. I am so thankful for both you guys. I'm thankful for my audience for listening to this conversation today. I hope you got something out of it. I know I did. Again, I encourage you, if you like what you heard, just click like. That really helps me out a lot. Doesn't cost you anything. You can share this conversation again. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps out the program quite a bit. And if you're interested in being an official member or a sponsor of the entire Locked In program, because we do weekly conversations, we're doing this monthly roundtable. Once COVID passes, we're going to be doing some live events. We're going to get into that. And then, for my top members, if you're a top member, if you're a Raven fan of the Locked In program, I'll even make time to jump on the phone with you couple times a month to help you on whatever it is you may be working on. And so right now I've got several members that I'm doing that with. And quite frankly, I think I probably get just as much enjoyment out of it as they do. BJ, how can someone get in touch with you, man, if they want to lock in with you?
The easiest way is my website is bjmurphy360.com. It's bjmurphy360.com. They can also text me. It's 252-516-6311. That's 516-6311. I'm a pretty accessible guy. So whether it's a TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website, email, I'm doing it all. But and I love connecting with people. If anything I've learned from you, Algenon, is the value of relationships and being intentional about relationships. That's something I learned from you almost a decade ago, and it's really benefited my life and career greatly. So I appreciate being on this inaugural episode as well.
Now, BJ just gave out his phone number. Now, for the ladies out there, he is married, so don't be sending no weird texts or phone calls. I don't need Jessica jumping on me because I don't got him in some trouble. But I always think it's really cool how you give your phone number out like that. You've actually, whereas before I think I used to be a little bit more guarded about giving my phone number out. It's actually something I've learned from you. And I've been a little bit more open about it. In fact, it's actually working. I've gotten some texts just out the blue from people, and I'm like, wait a minute, how'd you get my phone number? Oh yeah, it's on Twitter now. Okay, so I'm getting used to that. What about you, Derrick? I mean, if someone wanted to lock in with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Yep, probably a few ways. One, email dminor, minor at Vaco, VACO.com is a good way, as well as on LinkedIn. So DERRICK MINOR is how you spell it. Happy to connect there, and then as well on Facebook. So those three methods are probably the best ways, and I'm super quick to get back, and happy to chat with folks.
Again, BJ, Derrick, thank y'all for locking in with me, and to my audience, until next time, y'all stay locked in.